And we're happy to have you join us here on Okaloosa Eye on Crime.
And over the years, our citizens have helped the local law enforcement solve hundreds of cases with tips and information, and we've got more opportunities for you to help us on this show. So let's go ahead and get started.
Now, this case is one that's been around for a while, that everyone has just really been praying that this could be solved at some point. On August 10th, it'll mark 16 years since Shelley Mathers was struck and killed while walking on Highway 98 in Destin, and the Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office is still asking for information which might help solve this case. Mathers was one of 3 girls standing on the eastbound sidewalk of 98 in Destin. It was near Big Kahuna's Water Park back on the evening of August 10th, 2002. 2 of the girls were hit by an unknown vehicle as they stood on the sidewalk. That vehicle then continued eastbound without the driver stopping, calling, and/or rendering any aid. Tiffany Logston received serious injuries, and Shelley was killed as a result of the injuries she suffered when she was hit. This case is still open, but so far unsolved, and we would love to bring closure to the family that's been grieving for 16 years now over the death of their daughter and sister.
Yeah, absolutely. Hope somebody somewhere might have information about that one. And next up, the Walton County Sheriff's Office is investigating the theft of $12,600 worth of equipment from Seagrove Center Storage, located on East County Highway 30A in Seagrove. Now, this happened back on July 3rd. Now, according to video surveillance from a nearby business, a Penske rental truck pulled into the storage center parking lot about 10 p.m., left the parking lot around 10:20. Now, beach chairs, beach umbrellas, surfboards, paddleboards, and paddles were stolen from the local business's storage unit. The beach chairs and beach umbrellas are blue and brown, and there you can see some photos of them. They have the logo Dillon Beaches Service with a phone number on them. Penske truck appeared to hit the side of the storage unit during the burglary, so possibly some damage on the passenger side of that truck. So if you have any information about that, give us a call, 863-TIPS.
And next up, the Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office is trying to identify a duo for using a stolen credit card. They're trying to identify these 2 men that used a stolen credit card at several locations in both Walton and Okaloosa counties on May 20th of 2018. One of these individuals has visible tattoos on his upper left arm. If you know the identities of either one, please contact Emerald Coast Crime Stoppers. Remember, you can remain anonymous, 863-TIPS, emeraldcoastcrimestoppers.com, or the P3-TIPS mobile application.
And next up, home video surveillance, social media, and a vigilant citizen helped catch a burglary suspect who broke into a Fort Walton Beach home on July 3rd. A second suspect who has yet to be identified was captured on camera as well. Now, the Esteval Street victims, the burglary, posted the video and pictures to their Facebook page. A citizen at Walmart actually spotted one of the individuals shown on the video, called 911. Deputies arrived, made contact with the 36-year-old Charles Robinson, who was actually wearing the same thing that I think they said was on the video. So they ended up, he ended up trying to run but was arrested. Now, of course, the investigation is ongoing because there is a second individual, which you see in this video, that they are trying to identify. So anyone with information, of course, Emerald Coast Crime Stoppers, it's 100% anonymous.
And paddleboards are popular things for thieves to go after. The Sheriff's Office in Okaloosa County is trying to identify this individual, referenced the theft of a paddleboard in Destin back on May 18th. So if you got any information on that one, let us know. Next up, we want to share a public service announcement that touches on a very serious subject in Destin and everywhere, for that matter, actually, and it's pedestrian safety.
That's right, and the city has invested in some great crosswalks along Highway 98. Now, the key is making sure that people use them correctly, and that drivers are vigilant at all times.
Highway 98 in Destin is a hot spot for pedestrians, and crossing these often super busy lanes can be a challenge. But here's good news. Upgraded pedestrian signs are all along this roadway. From Marler Bridge to Airport Road, there are 5 mid-block pedestrian crossings with traffic signals and 6 fully signalized intersections with crosswalks. Using one, and using it correctly, can be a matter of life and death. Those of us driving this stretch also need to be vigilant day and night.
Whether a local or a tourist, the advice for pedestrians, motorists, and bike riders is the same. Stay sober, stay vigilant, stay alive.
And now we're going to run down our first list of fugitives wanted as of today's taping date of July 13th. First up is Clayton McCree Copeland. He's 47, and he's wanted for violating probation for providing false information to a pawnbroker, as well as grand theft of a motor vehicle. His last known address was in Destin.
And a new face to this month's show is Craig Mitchell Mayfield, who's 54 years old. He's wanted for violation of probation for grand theft of a motor vehicle, last known to live on Troy Street over in Fort Walton Beach.
The Walton County Sheriff's Office is looking for Darrell LaShawn Williams for lewd and lascivious behavior.
And Walton County is also still looking for Jeffrey Brian Way, who's wanted for failure to register as a sexual offender.
Next up is James Dexter Jackson, wanted by Walton County for burglary, grand theft, and grand theft of a motor vehicle. Last known address was in Freeport.
22-year-old Devin Earl Jordan, he's also wanted by the Walton County Sheriff's Office for felony violation of probation. Last known to live in Defuniak Springs.
Trying to track down Kaylin Elizabeth Mitchell for violation of probation on charges of grand theft and possession of a controlled substance.
Roy Nelson Howland, who was last known to live on Harry Adams Road up in Holt, he's wanted for violation of probation for possession of methamphetamine.
Next up is Billy Leon Thorne, who's wanted for sexual battery and VOP on aggravated assault charges. He was last known to live on Live Oak Church Road in Crestview.
And deputies are still searching for Dusty Leon McHouston. He's 31 years old. He's wanted for violation of probation for resisting arrest, battery on a law enforcement officer, and possession of a controlled substance.
Contact Emerald Coast Crime Stoppers if you know the location of Njoli Rochelle Johnson. Johnson's wanted for aggravated battery, last known to live on Mixon Road in Defuniak Springs.
25-year-old Reginald Dwayne Muse, he's wanted for violation of probation for grand theft, burglary, and aggravated stalking.
And love to find this next individual, Chad Alford's wanted by Walton County for aggravated assault and causing the cruel death, pain, or suffering of an animal. Last known address, Powell Drive in Niceville.
Yeah, I'd love to get some information on him. He's been on here for a while. Next up is 47-year-old Dennis Frederick Taylor Jr., wanted for failure to appear for fraud, providing false statement to obtain unemployment compensation, last known to live on Brook Street over in Fort Walton Beach. And we have a very special guest joining us today. That is Emerald Coast Crime Stoppers longtime chairperson Jill Kendall, who just recently decided to give up that role, but is still our treasurer for the organization. Now, her contributions and commitment have been nothing short of amazing. She deserves a lot of the credit for the ongoing success for the programs, and she's here to talk a little bit about it with us. Now, you joined the board in 2005, served over a decade as the chair. So why don't you tell us kind of how you got involved with Crime Stoppers and what it's meant not only serving as a board member, but as a chair for so many years.
Sure. Sherry Bruns, one of the other Crime Stoppers board members, invited me to a meeting, and it didn't take long. I was hooked. I've always had a love for law enforcement and a love for any kind of crime-related show on TV, so it didn't take long to come to a meeting and see what a value this organization brings to the community that I love so much. So I think I attended 1 or 2 meetings and then just jumped right in.
Yes, you did. Well, now the Emerald Coast Crime Stoppers annual crawfish boil fundraiser, that was you and your husband's idea, actually, and 9 years later it has grown leaps and bounds. I know the community looks forward to it every year. We get phone calls, when's the crawfish boil, but so tell us a little bit how that idea came to fruition and how we ended up starting it.
Sure. We were in Tallahassee visiting family, and my husband's son said, hey, let's stop by. There's a crawfish boil going on at this shopping center today. So we stopped by, and I don't eat crawfish, but I was sitting there while they were enjoying it and noticed this is so easy. It's in the parking lot of a shopping center. You could come and pick up a to-go box and take it home. You could sit here. They had tables out and paper towels and everything you needed to just stop by and enjoy crawfish. And as I was sitting there, I thought, nobody's doing this back home. We should bring this to our community, have something really unique in a great location, somewhere like Uptown Station, which has been a fantastic partner for us, and set something like this up for Crime Stoppers to be able to do. And that's where the whole idea came from. But the bottom line is, you're not going to have any kind of a good crawfish boil unless you have good crawfish. And finding the right crawfish guy has been our pearl, yes. I think, yes. For this event. It comes from Crawley, Louisiana, drives a long way, and that we just never have an issue with a crawfish every year. So that's what brings everybody back.
That's right, and I know it's just a fantastic event. We had a great event again this year, raised more than $18,000 for Emerald Coast Crime Stoppers. So thank you, and of course, we've both been at all 9 of them. Looking forward to number 10 next year. Now, what would you say to someone who might be interested in getting involved in the board or serving as a board member for Emerald Coast Crime Stoppers?
Sure, this is a great way professionally for you to get involved, to network with other professionals in the area, or as an individual. We have several retirees on our board that just have a love for this community. But I think that I've lived here my whole life. I'm a true native, and I think that This organization bridges an important gap between the community and law enforcement. It saddens me that we've come to a place where people may not feel safe enough to come forward with information. Law enforcement wants to draw that information out to reduce crime, but I understand why people might not feel safe to do it. So this organization bridges that gap, gives people a chance to call in, stay anonymous, and then get rewarded for it. Who wouldn't want that?
Right, and of course, as we were mentioning at our last board meeting, only about 20 to 30% of people ever actually claim that reward.
Amazing,
and
isn't
that's
it?
an astonishing number for us. So
They just want to come forward and be good citizens,
exactly,
right?
give the information. So thanks so much, Jill, for all you do and continue to do, and of course for giving back to your community and helping us make Okaloosa and Walton counties a safer place.
Thank you.
And of course, speaking of safer, we're now going to go to our next list of fugitives that local law enforcement hopes you can help us find. And first up on our second list is William Brian Harnish, who is wanted for violation of probation for possession of a controlled substance and possession of drug paraphernalia, last known to live in Freeport.
Leanne Lawson was last known to live in Destin. She's wanted for violating probation on a charge of possession of cocaine.
And 31-year-old Lucas Lorenzo Williams, he's actually got warrants out of Walton County and Escambia County, but he is wanted for armed robbery that occurred back on October 27th of 2016 up in Defuniak Springs.
Still trying to track down the location of Timothy James Howard. Howard's wanted for larceny, resisting an officer in recovery of stolen property, and failure to appear for fraud.
And deputies are still searching for Edward Lamont Fountain, who's 37. He's wanted for failure to appear for carrying a concealed weapon, possession of a weapon or ammo by a convicted felon, possession of a controlled substance and narcotics equipment, and last but not least, driving while license suspended or revoked.
And this is Seamus Mason Cotner Marshall. He's wanted for VOP for battery and for fraud.
And George Monroe Emmerich II is wanted by the Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office for violation of probation for domestic violence, strangulation, and aggravated battery.
Here's another regular on the show, Alexis Wilmer Mondragon, wanted by the OCSO for sexual battery, sex offense against a child, and lewd and lascivious molestation. Last known to live on Spencer Drive in Fort Walton Beach, but he's been on here for a while. Hopefully somebody has some information on him.
23-year-old Christopher Lee Deans, last known to live on Taylor Street in Fort Walton Beach. He's wanted for violation of probation for burglary and grand theft of a motor vehicle.
Also trying to locate Brittany Linnell Sanders, who's wanted by the Walton County Sheriff's Office for violating probation on creating, using, or possessing counterfeit credit cards with intent to use the information.
And also wanted by Walton County is 22-year-old Joshua James Picard for violation of probation for possession with intent to sell, manufacture, or deliver a controlled substance, possession of marijuana, and possession of drug equipment, last known to live in Defuniak Springs.
The Fort Walton Beach Police Department is trying to track down Juan Ramon Marquez for trafficking in stolen property.
36-year-old Roderick James Rudderson Jr., he's wanted for possession of synthetic narcotics within 1,000 feet of a school and failure to appear for driving while license suspended or revoked, last known to live on Mooney Road in Fort Walton Beach.
And with John Henry Bonner, the Fort Walton Beach PD is looking for him for grand theft and violation of Pawnbrokers Act, as well as non-payment of child support.
And last on our second list is a new face to the show, 31-year-old Leonard Allen Jr. He is wanted for violation of probation on the original charge of grand theft. Now, Emerald Coast Crime Stoppers has received tips on crimes ranging from car burglaries to murders.
And in fact, citizen information was shared with the Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office recently, and it was a factor in helping to nail down a suspected killer in the shooting death of an Uber driver.
On 6/24 at approximately 6:30 hours, the Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office was dispatched to 656 Santa Rosa Boulevard in Fort Walton Beach in reference to a suspicious vehicle reported by our beach safety officer. The vehicle was in the middle of the intersection of Porpoise Street and out in Nautilus Court and was still running, and the transmission was in park. Upon arrival, deputies discovered the victim identified as Philippe Lazaroff Kurloff, deceased in front of the front passenger seat of a Kia minivan. It appeared the victim had been shot multiple times. During the investigation, Uber placards were discovered inside the van, which indicated the vehicle may have been used for short-term contracted taxi-style fares. Also found was a portable monitoring device and other electronic equipment within the vehicle. The monitoring device was forensically examined, and it was learned this item had a camera positioned on the front windshield, which had the ability to record out of the front windshield. The camera captured video as well as audio. Examination of this video audio was of good quality and depicted the horrific and brutal nature of this murder. 6/26/2018, suspect Timothy Lane Anderson was picked up for questioning. These folks, I just want to say that often, frequently, and I can't emphasize it enough, that they work tirelessly and they give it their all, and our community should feel fortunate to have folks like this committed to doing this type of work, because it's hard on them, it's hard on their families, and they've been at it for 3 days solid, working night and day trying to solve this thing, and they got it done. So kudos to them, and I'll certainly recognize them in future ceremonies, but for today's, Okaloosa County residents have good people representing them and working hard for them. Thank you again for coming out.
And remember, if you want to stay anonymous and share information about a crime, all you have to do is contact Emerald Coast Crime Stoppers. We give you 3 simple and secure ways to do it. That's the phone, the 24-hour phone line, 863-TIPS. You can go to emeraldcoastcrimstoppers.com, submit a web tip. Of course, there's the mobile tips that can be submitted via the P3 Mobile Tips app.
And as we always like to stress, you never have to give your name, and if your information does help lead to an arrest, you can earn a cash reward of up to $3,000.
Now, across the Emerald Coast, boating season seems to run all year now, but everyone knows summer always draws the biggest crowds on the beaches and on the water.
No doubt. And the OCSO Marine Unit has been stressing safe boating with a series of educational campaigns, including its recent participation in Operation Dry Water.
Operation Dry Water is 3 days from June 29th to July 1st, and it's heightened awareness and enforcement targeting boating safety and boating under the influence. We'll have 3 units participating in Operation Dry Water this weekend, and also it's a nationwide event, so there'll be other agencies from the Coast Guard to the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission who will also be out here. Every year, we're one of the leading counties for vessel crashes. Just this year, we've already doubled our BUI enforcement arrests. More vessels, more vessel traffic, more violations, whether it's education, it's liveries, rental pontoon boats. We get vacationers here that they want to enjoy their vacation, they want to have a good time. Mixing alcohol with being unfamiliar with the area and the idle speed, no wake zones lead to enforcement or education coming from the Sheriff's Office and other participating law enforcement agencies. The main issues that Marine Enforcement units see out here are violations of posted idle speed zone, no wake signs. Make sure you have enough life jackets. Have your head on a swivel while you're out here operating your vessel. Yes, you're looking out for other vessels, but other vessels may not be looking out for you. These 3 days, June 29th through the 1st, again, is Operation Dry Water. Numerous agencies will be in effect out here, and that's what the primary focus is going to be on. It's going to be on boating under the influence. Also, if you're going to operate your vessel at night, make sure you have the appropriate safety equipment. Make sure all of your lights are working. Once that sun goes down, it's a different world out here on the water.
Now, rainy weather happened to put a damper on boating on 2 out of those 3 days, but I know that the Marine Unit did make 3 BUI or boating under the influence arrests.
And the unit has also partnered with Fort Walton Beach Medical Center on a program to stress, think before you dive. Now, that reminder is being driven home due to injuries received from people diving into shallow water, especially at Crab Island. Now, the Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office and Fort Walton Beach Medical Center are giving out koozies as constant reminders.
And there's also a Sober Skipper campaign underway. We all hear about, of course, designated drivers for our roadways. This one encourages everyone on the water to also have a designated boat operator who doesn't drink. That would be the Sober Skipper, and that person could save lives.
And while we're on the subject of the Marine Unit, check out this video of the rescue of 2 boaters who were surprised to find their boat capsized in the Gulf. Now, luckily, Deputy Kyle Corbett was in the area to help.
Cover 9, the boat in distress is going to be directly in front of a Aegean. Police boat is just getting there now.
Yes, come on over here. Just y'all 2? Yes. Here. No. 196 SF.
I don't know. I just turned my back and that was full of water.
Yeah, the boat's turned over. I got 2 subjects on board. My vessel, everybody's accounted for. Just y'all 2, correct?
Yeah. Hey, no way we can get our stuff down there, right? Can I? Like on my phone and stuff?
Down in Warrior. We'll see if Coast Guard, they got a pump and everything whenever they get out here. We'll see what they can do with the boat, okay? Y'all need any water? There's waters in here if y'all need some water. Did y'all ingest any water? Is everything okay? Yeah, I'm fine. You guys feeling okay?
Yeah, we're feeling okay. You were quick.
His vessel, this is the return by the Pier 10-4 now.
Stroke history, 13 points.
Old man, investigating stroke, looking out, assisted across the floor, all safe. Kyle, where are you at? 160, get that breeze.
Just southeast of the East Jetty. This is probably a center console.
Roger, can you see a name or registration numbers and what's the color? Over.
Negative, sir. I can't see any registration numbers on it. It's just a white hole. I don't know what's wrong with that channel. I'm almost wondering if it's because of the boat being underwater or something. I'm waiting for a call back from Freedom Boat Club.
196, right?
Yeah. Are they? Okay. Is 16 all staticky for you guys? Uh, 850. That's something else is wrong with the boat. You got a big old pile of bird crap right up there. Thanks. Huh?
That'll be another.
I just got done with that vessel stop and I heard my channel 16 is straight static right now. Then I heard them come over and said, hey, our boat's taking on a bunch of water. You know, we're sinking right out here south of the jetties.
And finally, let's run down our third list of Crime Stoppers wanted fugitives that we're hoping maybe you out there in the public can help us find.
Contact Emerald Coast Crime Stoppers and earn a cash reward if you can lead law enforcement to Rebecca Nicole Taylor. She's wanted for VOP on an original charge of possession of a controlled substance. Last known address was in Destin.
30-year-old Samuel Edward Thomas III, he's 30 years old. He's wanted for violation of probation on the original charges of providing false information to a pawnbroker, false imprisonment, and grand theft, last known to live in Shalimar.
Freanna Elizabeth Powell's last known address was on Beach Drive in Fort Walton Beach. She's wanted for failure to appear on a charge of vehicle theft.
And Walton County deputies are still searching for Tiffany Michelle Bennett. She's wanted for violation of probation for possession of a controlled substance.
In Walton County, the Sheriff's Office is looking for James Anthony Williams for VOP for possession of a controlled substance, possession of marijuana, and possession of drug paraphernalia.
40-year-old Andrea Jo Myers, last known to live on Gimsted Road over in Fort Walton Beach, and she is wanted for violation of probation for theft.
Tashawn Coward Sr. is up next, wanted for driving with a license suspended or revoked and non-payment of child support, that is. Last known address, Scranton Street in Fort Walton Beach.
Another new face to the show is 35-year-old Crystal Denise Sherlock, and she's wanted for larceny and fraudulent use of a credit card, last known to live in Niceville.
Unfortunately, we don't have a photograph for this next individual. It's Jeffrey Nelson Grimes, 53-year-old white male, wanted for possession of photographs of sexual performance of a child, last known to live over in Destin.
Ricky Joe Hawkins Jr. is being sought for violation of probation for improper exhibition of a weapon, last known to live on Northwest Racetrack Road in Fort Walton Beach, and I believe he's also got a warrant out of Santa Rosa County.
And here's good news. Kendrick Dallas Wilson has been located thanks to a tip from one of you.
But we're still looking for 39-year-old James Jr. Jackson, who's wanted for robbery without a weapon and grand theft, last known to live on Bowers Avenue in Crestview.
Moving over to Walton County, Bobby Derone Simmons is wanted for felony violation of probation, last known to live on Wetzel Road in Sampson.
And Walton County is searching for Casey Lynn Sokup for felony violation of probation, last known to live on 28th Street in Defuniak Springs.
Same up for Herbert Samuel Duger. He's also wanted for felony violation of probation.
45-year-old David Russell Alavraz, I hope I'm saying that right, wanted for violation of probation for burglary and grand theft, last known to live over in Navarre.
And contact us if you know where to find Grover Lewis SB. He's wanted for burglary. His last known address was on Miracle Drive in Mary Esther.
And 51-year-old Troy Don Daramus, he's wanted by the Fort Walton Beach Police Department for burglary, last known to live in Milligan.
And finally on our list, Austin Van Whittington, wanted for VOP on original charges of grand theft and fraudulent use of a credit card, last known to live in Navarre.
And that's going to wrap up this month's edition of Okaloosa Eye on Crime.
Thank you so much for joining us.